Good evening. Merry Christmas. Welcome to all of you here, whether you're a longtime parishioner or college student home on break, or you're just walking down Sunnyside and heard the beautiful music and decided to pop in. Happy to have you here. Tonight is among my favorite nights of the year, and part of it is because I love these liturgies and to be with all of you, but if I'm being honest, it's also because tonight was my favorite meal of the year. As many of you know, I'm half Italian, half Irish, or as I like to say, I'm half Gaelic, half garlic. And every year on Christmas Eve, my Italian side of the family gathers together for what we call the Feast of the Seven Fishes. And the history of the meal is complicated, and like with much Italian folklore, you ask 5 Italians, you get at least 8 answers. But nonetheless, it's a tradition that's steeped in our Catholic faith. First, we eat fish as a way of abstaining from meat, like we do during the season of Lent. But the meal is so delicious, it's not considered a penance by any means. But we intentionally abstain from meat as a way of offering a spiritual sacrifice. Now, the number of fish does depend on the region of Italy you're from. My family is mainly from Bari on the southern coast, just above the heel of the boot. So naturally, being a coastal region, we have a lot of shellfish. Northern Italians and more inland regions may only have 3 or even 1 type of fish. But the number really doesn't matter as long as the number is related to our faith. For my family and most of the coastal regions, 7 reminds us of the sacrament, or the 7 corporal and 7 spiritual works of mercy, the 7 days of creation, and so on. The number is meant to be evangelical. It's a moment to teach and pass on the faith, especially to children. Every year, there's little ones around that ask their parents or grandparents, why the number 7? And we can pass on our faith to them. I certainly learned a lot about my faith, about the importance of family, and how to love and receive love through this dinner every year. And I share this because it's another story of the Incarnation. What we celebrate here on Christmas is the Incarnation. God taking on human flesh. God condescends, and he doesn't descends, but condescends down to us so that he can lift us up into himself. Now, this annual family dinner involves many sacrifices, and it's not just the foregoing of meat, but those cooking sacrifice their time to prepare the meal. People are driving from far distances to gather together when they could stay in their comfortable homes and be in their pajamas and not have to travel. Someone paid for the majority of that meal being eaten by everyone. And hopefully we're all able to learn something new about our faith, or we have the great privilege to pass on our faith to the next generation. We condescend in our own way to lift up our family and friends so that they can receive and share love. And that's the Incarnation. Other ways we live and share in the Incarnation is by serving others, shoveling our neighbor's snow or cutting their grass, offering to pick up groceries for a neighbor that we know needs help, volunteering our time at a nursing home or a food pantry or soup kitchen, or volunteering here at St. Ed's, or if you're visiting us from somewhere else, to volunteer your time and talent at your own home parish. like coaching our kids' sports teams or volunteering to chaperone field trips or theater events. To sit with someone that we know is having a rough day, offering to pray with them, or just to be a listening ear. These are ways we live the Incarnation as disciples of Jesus. Christianity is not, and never has been, a spectator sport. We're not supposed to just come to Mass, sit in the pew, and listen a little before we go home. We're not supposed to just write a check to a charity and think that we did our part. God didn't stay in heaven and do his version of writing a check to pay for our sins. Rather, he left heaven and came to earth, becoming human. He walked our walk, talked our talk, even died our death, so that just as he shared in our humanity, we could share in his divinity if we follow him faithfully. And to follow Jesus faithfully means we have to celebrate the Sabbath by coming to Holy Mass every Sunday, putting God first by prioritizing daily prayer, practicing humility by having our sins forgiven in the sacrament of reconciliation, and living the Incarnation by putting ourselves at the service of others and expecting nothing in return. That's how we live Christmas every day. That's how we will ultimately change the world, by building up God's kingdom.